So how does a new 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Max compare to the Mac Pro that costs $12,000? We're going to find out. Are these things any good for AAA gaming? We're going to find out also. Plus about 5 or 6 other stories. Let's get into it. Alright, so welcome back to my channel. Just like last week, I got about 6, maybe 7 stories, and they're all going to be Apple related, so stories you want to hear about. And the first one's going to really be about, like I said, Apple Insider. They basically benchmarked the new 16-inch M1, I guess, MacBook Pro with the M1 Max, MAX chip, so it's the high-end chip. They put that up against the Mac Pro and various versions of the Mac Pro, like the base model versus the $12,000 model. And they did some benchmarking. So we're going to find out on single-core, multi-core, even the graphics performance. Stay tuned. I'm going to share my screen here and see how they fare. Do you save a lot of money by buying these new 16-inch MacBook Pros? Are they any good compared to the Mac Pros? Do they make them obsolete? Let's find out. All right, so the first one's from Apple Insider. I want to give credit where credit's due. It's by Malcolm Owen right here. They're comparing the brand new M1 Max 16-inch to the Mac Pro. If we go down here really quickly, we can see the specs that they actually used in this test. Here's the 16-inch Mac Pro 2021. $32.99. You can pause it here if you want to see the specs. Here's the baseline Mac Pro. So that's going to be about $6,000. And then the comparable Mac Pro, they with the Afterburner, about $12,000, a little under $12,000 for that system. So if we go down and we look at the single core benchmark for this 16-core MacBook Pro, it basically kills the Mac Pro. 1769 to 1015 to 1120. You can see it right there. So that's pretty surprising. And if we go down here to Geekbench 5, it's a little bit different, but you get 12,308 on the 16-inch Mac M1 Max for this is the multi-core Geekbench 5. The $6,000 system, though, is way less at $79.92. And then the only one that beats it is the Mac Pro that costs $12,000 or $13,000. It's $14,586, but not much of a difference there. And if we finally go down to, let's scroll all the way down here to Geekbench 5 Metal Benchmark, you can see that the M1 Max 32 GPU, we're using 32 core GPU on this system on the test. 68,950. Again, this is the Metal benchmark. The $6,000 system that's using just the Radeon Pro 580X, 38,491. And then finally the Radeon Pro 57X on that $12,000 or $13,000 system, 71. So barely beats this one here for what, $3,200. So, but does that really mean for gaming and stuff like that? We'll find out in the next story. All right, so for the second story, we're going to find out, are these new systems either the 14-inch with the M1 Pro or the 16-inch with the M1 Max, however you want to interchange them, are they any good at AAA gaming? So can you play AAA games? I have some written down here, like Assassin's Creed, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Borderlands 3, Dirt, things like that. Can you play those type of games on this system? They did some testing. They ran Parallels, which I'll get into and showed you how it performed, and then they did some kind of games that were more made for Mac OS, and they see how those fare as well. So we're going to find out if they do any good, and if they don't, we're going to have a reason maybe for why they don't, and maybe what's to come in the future. All right, and so for this one, again, this is from Tom's Guide. You can see it up here. Just want to give credit again. So they went ahead and they said that they actually installed Parallels on this, and they try to run a lot of games, AAA games. So that was the story. The person went out and did that. But what they got for results, you can kind of see them here. After just loading them, through Parallels so they could run Windows and load these games on, Assassin's Creed did not load. Borderlands 3 loaded but didn't run. Dirt 5 did not load. Things like this, Far Cry did not load. You can pause this and read through it, but basically a lot of these are not running or loading. So there's a problem with running the games on the new M1 Pro and M1 Max if you're actually running through Parallels. So that's a big problem right there. And then basically, you can go down here a little bit further, but what they did is they said, the results are disappointing, but Apple basically reached out and said, run some games that are optimized for Mac OS. And they provided some AAA titles for them to try. And you can see right here, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, right over here, that big game right there, and Borderlands 3. So Borderlands 3 hit about 40 frames per second at 1080p only, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider averaged about 85 frames per second at about 1080p as well. So based off these results, you can see that games like this are not going to be the best to run on M1s right now, and I think it's because more of performance, just the developers not developing them correctly for the platform. But right now, they're okay. You can definitely play some games, some lower end games and stuff like that. But overall, you're going to have some problems for sure. All right, story number 3 is going to be a quick one. We all know that there's going to be these supply line shortages all over the United States right now and all over the world for that matter. So the ARM chip boss, his name is Simon Segars. He said that this Christmas you better order your stuff really fast now or you may not get them shipped out in time. He also said these supply chains are going to be in big trouble probably through Christmas of 2022. He's saying it's the worst he's ever seen actually. So this is the head of the ARM chip supplier. And if he's doing that, obviously he probably works with Apple. He works with all these other companies out there. The Intel boss is saying the same thing. He thinks that's going to run into 2023. So if you need some chips or you need something with chips in them, order early or you may be kind of locked out for Christmas this year and unfortunately next year. Story number 4. Apple shipped about 6.5 million MacBooks in Q3 of 2021. That's a big number, right? But they're actually 4th place and they have about 10% of the market share. Who are they behind? They're behind Lenovo and they shipped about 15.3 million. Then comes in HP about 14.3 million, and then finally Dell about 12.2 million, somewhere in that range. So they said that they have about 10% of the market share right now on MacBooks. That's about 6.5 million in Q3 of 2021. And then the boss at Apple, Tim Cook, said that again, we just talked about the supply line shortages. It cost Apple about $6 billion in Q3 because of these shortages, and it's only going to get worse. So anyways, they're doing pretty good, but they're still in 4th place. So what's the best value Mac you can buy right now? It's not going to be these 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros. It's going to be the Mac Mini. And basically for Christmas, they're going to go pretty low on these. Actually, I'm going to have some links in my video description. Definitely helps the channel if you buy through them. But it's basically going to be the model to look for the Mac Mini. Right now on Amazon, they have it's the base model, but it actually has upgraded 512 SSD storage, so double the storage for $799. And you can actually pick up for $649 the 256 version for the SSD. So $649 for that. We've seen them maybe as low as $599, somewhere in that range. That's as low as I've ever seen them new. And then, but $799 for the 512. And I've also heard you can probably, if you look around, you might be able to get the 16 gig RAM with the 256 drive for somewhere around $799 also. So anyways, I think that's the best value because of the performance value. I mean, if you get the M1 chips in these new MacBook Pros, you're talking $2,000, so almost 3 times as much. And you're not getting 3 times the performance for sure unless you actually need the portability. So check these out. Link will be in the descriptions. Apple's 4th gen iPad. If you have a 4th gen iPad from 2012, I think it's got the A6X chip in it. It's basically hit the obsolete list finally. And what does that mean from Apple? So if something hits the obsolete list, it basically means they're no longer eligible for hardware repair from Apple. Now there's going to be third parties that can probably fix these things if you want to, but again, the cost of these things, 2012 iPad, is probably not going to be worth it. So just keep in mind that device is getting older and it's another device that just hit the obsolete list. And then the final story is the 21.5-inch iMac is finally dead, meaning that Apple took it officially off the website. You can't find it or buy it new. So right now, if you go and try to buy an iMac on Apple's website, the actual, I guess, standard website, their real website, not the refurbished one, you're actually going to have a choice with either the 24-inch iMac, which everyone knows about obviously, or the great 27-inch, but they still think there's only about 2 months of supply left, maybe 2 to 3 months of the 27-inch, like the one I have behind me, that you can replace the RAM in. It's a really good device. Intel still based, but still a good device. So you got a couple months to get one of these. Otherwise, that'll be gone also, and then it's going to be the 24-inch left, and then whatever they come out with next year, which is going to be a lot more expensive. Keep that in mind as well. So again, check the Apple refurbished store if you have your heart set on some of the old 21.5-inch iMacs, which I don't know why you would, but if you do, you can check out the refurbished site from Apple. They always have some up there as well, and they carry a lot of times the same warranties and stuff, so not too bad, not too shabby. Just wanted to let people know. All right, thanks for watching, and tell me what you guys think. Did you guys think that the new 14, 16-inch MacBook Pros, or at least the 16-inch, can kind of blow away Mac Pro for the cost and stuff? I don't know what people bought, people that bought those Mac Pros for $14,000, $15,000. I don't know if they're going to come back and want something for free from Apple, because it's kind of like 2 years or 1 year and all of a sudden they have these new devices out. Seems kind of, if I bought one of those, I'd have a bad taste in my mouth for sure. And then the gaming. We all knew that Apple wasn't good at gaming, and we all kind of hoped that they would get a lot better with these new chips, the M1 Pro, the M1 Max. But we know that it's going to take some time. I mean, developers have to develop for them. Now that they have the horsepower, maybe it'll come out where they actually start developing some good AAA games for Apple. I doubt it, maybe the next year or two, but maybe a couple years down the line when these things start ramping up, we get faster and faster GPUs, 32 cores, maybe up to 48, and keeps going higher. So we'll see. Who knows? Anyways, I hope you guys like the stories. I hope you guys enjoy the channel. Definitely subscribe if you can. And if you can buy anything to my link that you were going to buy anyway, I'm not trying to force you to buy anything, but if you were going to buy it, helps the channel grow and we can make more videos. So we'll talk to you soon. Peace.